Hi, and welcome to the Her Game, Her Story podcast. Today I'm joined with a very special guest.
Hi, I'm Sophie. I'm in Bucks 1s and I coach Bucks 5s.
Perfect. So, talk about your netball journey before you started uni. So, how'd you got into netball? What intrigued you about it? All of that stuff.
Okay, well, I basically started playing football, never even thought about netball. My family is very football based. And then in school, I was very tall and my PE teacher was just you're coming to netball training, you're going to give it a go. I started off in wing attack and then gradually went wing attack to goal attack and then ended up playing mostly goal shooter. Then from there it's just they got you into satellite programs and then county, and then I did Bath under 15s, 17s, 19s, all of that stuff. Carried it on through college, did the British colleges, and then that brings me up to sort of uni.
So for those who don't know, you're a transfer. So you started off at Birmingham, then come to Met. So talk about why you decided to first go to Birmingham, join the netball, and then why you decided to go to Met and then join the netball.
So with Birmingham, I was sort of initially looking at Nottingham, but because I did a BTEC, I couldn't get onto their course unless I did a foundation year. And then sort of Birmingham came up, and a couple of my lecturers at college had been there, and they said they play the top league of netball. You might not play that straight away, but it's a good uni to go to if that's an aim of yours. So I looked at it. They were had loads of open days, tours around the campus, and I just, as soon as I went, the facilities were amazing. They had they had an NPL coach as their first team coach, which I thought just meant I'd get really good training sessions and stuff like that. So that was sort of what drew me to Birmingham straight away.
Yeah. And then why did you feel you wanted to join Met then afterwards?
So I think it wasn't so much the netball side, which is why I left Birmingham. It was more my course I didn't really enjoy, and they didn't offer as many sport courses as Met do. So when I was looking at oh God, I don't want to drop out, but I also can't carry on doing the course I was on, I then looked at Met, and it was they had sport coaching, they had sport analysis, they had so many options. And then I just sort of had a look, made sure they also offered a high netball program. And then someone called Izzy Claxton, who's been on this podcast, I sort of messaged her and was, because we did Bath together, and asked her what leagues and stuff. And it was very similar to Birmingham in terms of their first teams in the top league, the second teams in the second league. You've got access to all the sort of top Bucks standard. And then, I think I came to pre-season and I was seems like a great fit, really.
Seems like nice girls.
Yeah, it seems like a nice group.
What did you find different between Birmingham netball and then Met netball?
I think because Birmingham have always been around the top of the table in that Northern Premier League, it's a lot of pressure. So you obviously I went into it and I hadn't done any uni netball before, obviously you're freshly 18 or whatever, and if they just expect to come top of the league, if not second in the league every time, so everything has to be perfect, and if it's not, then they're going to give you a really hard time in training. Whereas I think Met, where not that it's I don't know how to word it really, but where you've finished in a variety of places in the league, it's sort of okay, we're going to aim to get here, but if we don't, we know it's because we've got really strong oppositions, and you're not sort of you're not expected to be perfect every single time, which is a lot less pressure, I think, and a lot easier to just enjoy it.
Yeah, that's good. So talk about your journey in Met netball so far. So you only just joined last year.
Yeah.
Talk about how you found it, what in your second year, what went well, everything like that.
Okay, well, so when I first came over, I'd had 6 months out of uni. Okay. So I played some netball at home, but it wasn't the same standard. So I think I came to pre-season, I was a bit surprised at how unfit I felt, and just even just how I was playing, I was oh God, I'm really not playing how I was in my first year or whatever. And then I just thought everyone came across really nice and stuff, but it was quite difficult because I wasn't a fresher, so I couldn't I wasn't really in that fresher group where you all stick together and you're all new to it. but also like I didn't know other people that were in second and third year. So I didn't really know like where I was going to fit in kind of thing, because like it's a bit of like a weird situation, and like you don't have anyone else who is in that position. So I think that definitely took some getting used to, and like talking with like back with pre-season, like I just sort of had to throw myself into everything. So if people were like, oh, we're going to the pub after training, I was like, well, I have to go because I need to get to know people. But yeah, so that was sort of how it started. And then obviously I got into the twos in my second year, which I think initially like I was just a bit gutted because it felt like a step down from like playing first team in my first year, but also I couldn't really argue it because I wasn't playing my best netball at that point. So I was just like, I've sort of gotten in the team I deserve, but if I'd done more in my time out of uni, then maybe I could have had an extra year like in that top league. So I think that was like initially quite disappointing. And then the first few games I like really struggled to get into the squad. Like I was sat on the bench for like 3/4 of a game, like came on at the end. Like my confidence was already quite low, so I come on, probably not play my best, and then same would happen the week after. And that's sort of how the first few games went. And then unfortunately we had an injury, and Jess, who was the other goal shooter, had to start going off on placement. So then it was just two of us who could play goal shoot and goal attack. So it was just like full games from that point. And I felt like that was hugely beneficial because I didn't have that sort of fear of, oh, if I do something wrong, they're going to just take me off the court. Like I felt like I had a lot more freedom to sort of play, like ease into the game. And if I mess up, what's she going to do? Because she doesn't have another goal shooter. So that definitely helped. And then like me and Izzy Thomas, like our connection in that like shooting position just got stronger and stronger because we only were playing with each other, and then we played with each other on a Thursday as well, and it started like to really sort of work quite well. And then we were like winning games against like Bath that we probably shouldn't have been winning, which was really good. And then I think it came to like probably just after December I sort of started feeling like, oh, I really feel like I could be playing a bit of a higher level now. Like now I've sort of got my confidence back, like got my shooting back to where it is. Like I feel back to like how I used to play. And then I was like, okay, now I'm pretty desperate to play a high level. And that's when varsity came. So I was just like, I need to put everything into this, try and prove to Kira like I should be in that squad over someone who's in the ones, which is really hard to do because obviously that's her basically saying to someone like, yeah, you've been in the ones all year, but we're now going to take you out of it. So I think you have to do quite a lot to show you should do, like you deserve that. So I think varsity was probably some of the best netball I've played in a long time. Like at that point I was just so happy because I was like, this is finally, I'm showing how I can play. And that went really well, started to like form good connections with like you, for example, like Izzy. Like I was like, this is just like going really nicely. And then had varsity, that went well. And then came back this year, unfortunately, first day of pre-season, did the ligaments in my ankle, playing bench ball, may I add. Ball. I think we literally had one day of like fitness testing, and then
you did,
day two, I think it was me that suggested like let's do a warm-up game of bench ball. Always love being the last one so I can get the glory, and then somehow tore the ligaments in my ankle. I had a tough time with that because I think our physio was just being very cautious, didn't want me to go back too early, but I was sort of like, in my mind, I was like, this is a year I want to be in the first team. And if I can't prove that in pre-season, I'm just going to have to stay at that level I was at. And I really didn't want that. So I found pre-season like quite an emotional time because I just felt like I couldn't do anything to prove like that I have come on to a standard where I think I should play the next level up. So that was quite tough. But like Kira was really helpful. I'd go and sort of speak to her, and then I'd normally start crying, and then she'd be like, no, it's fine. Like everyone gets upset with stuff like this. And I think if she hadn't been so supportive, I would have been like not in a great headspace during pre-season. And like obviously the rest of the girls are so like lovely to be around that it didn't really feel like a depressing time. Like I'd be sat with like yourself and Thea on the bench, and that was fine. Like watching everyone, it wasn't too bad. But and then turned out like I'd sort of done enough in varsity to prove that I should be in the ones. So that was obviously great. I couldn't play the first game, or I think I was allowed to play a quarter of the first game because of my ankle. I think it was Bristol at home, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
And I think the physio had been like, no, she can't play. And then Kira's like, well, I'm going to give her a quarter and see how she gets on. And I felt fine. And then I think since then, I've sort of been playing like probably 3/4 every game, maybe a bit less than that in goal shoot. And it's been going well, I'd say. Like, I've been pretty happy this year.
That's good. I was going to say, I remember in pre-season you joining because they put you in the WhatsApp group, don't they?
Yeah.
And then we were all looking at your photo and we were like trying to find like who you are and everything. I just remember it being really funny.
I think that's what everyone does though. You just you're desperately trying to find out who this person is. No, honestly, it's so weird to think back to that point because I remember like Izzy messaged me and she was like, oh, you're coming to Met, like that's great, like we always need more shooters, like we've had quite a few graduate. And I think we were, because she knew like the level I played in Birmingham, we were sort of talking as if, like, which is so stupid now, that as if it was like a given I was going to be playing with her in the ones. Yeah. And then obviously that didn't happen. And then it was just like, oh God, that was a bit embarrassing. Like we were just sort of taking it like, oh, because I'd done that in a different uni, it just like sort of transfer across. But obviously that's not the case. You've got completely different people to like compete against and different coaches that are gonna have different opinions of the level you should be playing at.
So what has been your toughest uni to play against? So you can do home and away as well. Yeah. But you can do Birmingham and Met if you want.
So
because they're in Birmingham different.
Yeah. I think for Met I find Bath away is always horrible. Like it's just, I think their fans don't make it very pleasant. The players don't, the coaches don't. They're just not very nice. Yeah. And then home this year, I actually thought Hartpury, like because I think we just had it in our head like we are going to beat them. Yeah. And they came and they were so like composed and they like, I think we went up by like 6 at one point, which I thought for a team that's just come up normally would just let you run away with it after that. But they like dug in and like. Yeah, they were really good. I was like really impressed with them. And I think they took us by surprise, which made it even worse.
Yeah, they did, 100%.
And then with Birmingham, Loughborough were always really tough away. Like it would be like we had Loughborough at home and we could beat them at home just about. And then we'd go away and they would always just beat us, which was just really tough. And you'd go in and they wouldn't like show you where your changing room is or like stuff like just like little things that make you really feel like it's like an away day, like you don't feel all welcomed and whatever, which it's probably quite a good tactic really.
Yes.
And then at home I think we were always quite set at home in Birmingham because everyone would come and watch, like we'd have loads of people on the balcony and I don't know, I think we just made it really hard for people to come to us because we were just on quite a good run. But no, definitely Loughborough away for them.
Yeah, not surprised.
No, it was pretty tough.
So I've asked everyone this one, so name your starting 7 you would have for Met, but you have to have played with them throughout the years you've been here. I know it's tough because you've only been here for 2 years.
Yeah, I don't have maybe as many people to choose between. But I'd probably go... Lucy and Poppy, goalkeeper, goal defence. Yeah. Maddie Bromwich, wing defence. Izzy Claxton, centre. You wing attack. Izzy Thomas, goal attack. And then Kath in goal shooter.
Oh, nice. Some people won't be happy with that.
I'm getting a stare off one of those people now.
So wait, I'm going to ask
yours, lady.
I'm going to ask this question because I've asked literally everyone it. So who do you think has the worst tan in the team as well?
The worst tan? Yeah. Tren. But sometimes Izzy Claxton as well.
I do think lately Izzy's
She's like fading into that orange side. Like mine can be bad, but those two take it to a whole nother level.
No, they do, 100%. So what has been your hardest Met player to play against?
I think I do find India very hard to play against. Like in training, I think we give each other quite a hard time. Like make it like we always want to one up each other, and she just can get in my head sometimes, and then I find it really hard to play against her.
Fair. And then who do you think's your hardest player you've ever played against then?
Like for any team.
Yeah, for either Birmingham or
I
Met.
must
Wait, actually, do
admit,
one Birmingham and then one Met.
Okay, so I might need to try and like ask you what their name is so I can remember. But I played against her for Exeter. She was a goal defence, really good. She played like loads of MPL and stuff. I think she's quite a well-known name.
Rachel Fee. Yeah.
Well, for Birmingham, I found Rachel Fee really hard to play against because we had Exeter in like our semi-final of the cup or our quarter-final. Yeah. And I remember she just like stuck to me the whole game, and I just literally, I think my coach was like, just keep her busy, and I barely touched the ball, and I was like, well, this is not ideal. And then for Cardiff, it's probably going to have to be Jada. Like, realistically, she sort of like, you don't know what she's going to do, which I found quite hard to play against. Like, I didn't know whether she was going to stay on me if I held or whether she'd follow me out the D. So it was just quite, hard to adjust to.
Yeah, she's really hard to feed against as well.
Yeah, I think really she makes it look like I'm not even there.
No,
like, it's not even the height. I think it's just the way she stands. Like, you can't even see that I'm holding.
No, literally. So what has been your toughest Met moment so far?
I think Bath at home wasn't very enjoyable, to be honest. Like, obviously if you're losing by like 40 goals, it's never going to be a good time. But I think like we all sort of like turned in on each other a little bit, and it just didn't really feel like you're losing as a team, which I think even if you do lose, which you're going to, like we've got some really hard teams and we've got really hard games coming up after Christmas, like with the cup and stuff. So I think like that was really tough to think, oh, we've lost, but we also didn't have each other's backs either. And maybe Hartpury and Clash as well. That one stung.
We're not very good with Clash. We've had this conversation. I had this conversation with the others, and every time we played Clash, we've never won. No,
I think that was tough. And I also Exeter away. I hated that whole...
That was a horrible day.
Yeah, I think that was horrible for everyone, to be honest.
It's probably one of the worst days I've had.
Yeah, I don't think that was nice. But in terms of netball, I think Hartpury, because I think that was one of the games that, like, I walked away and felt like I'd sort of done everything I felt like I could do. Yeah. Like, in some games this year, I'm like, no, I could have put in a better performance than that. But I think in that game, I was like, oh, I felt really happy with how I played. Yeah. I felt really happy with how, like, I was being given the ball, like, how everyone was playing, but I was just like, so you can't wrap your head around how you've lost the game, which I think I like went home, and normally I'm quite positive, but like my mum rang me and I was like, I actually can't talk to you right now. We'll talk about this tomorrow.
You definitely watched it back on YouTube on the live stream, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to try and understand what went wrong.
So what's been your favourite Met moment then?
I did in my first year here when we played Bath away, and I think we beat them by like 4 goals. I loved that because like their bench just giving us a hard time the whole game. Their first team coach had like come down to coach them. She was like on my back the whole time, like shouting at the goalkeeper like how to play against me. Like, she's coached me before, so I think she knows how I play. So then to come away and actually win that, I was like, it's really nice to do, and act on like your territory kind of thing. And then I think Bristol away I really enjoyed, like when you guys were just all like sort of launching the ball in, but everything was paying off, and like everyone was just like smiling, like having a lot of fun with the game. And it was just nice to see, because I think we've got some tough games, and we've had some like quite sad games as well, where like we should have won but we didn't. So I think that was like actually really fun.
It's a question that I want to know now. Who do you think's the funniest in our team? I haven't actually asked anyone this, but I just really want to know.
I'm going to have to say Maddie, because she does like, she's the only person that has like a really, really weird humour that I have as well. And everyone sort of looks over and they're like, what are you even laughing at?
No,
and
you two together.
It does. I can see why it come across as annoying because the stuff we say doesn't even make sense, but it just always seems to get me laughing.
But no, fair enough. So what are your plans then after uni, just in general? It could be with netball and like anything.
I think sort of look for jobs in schools, doing some kind of netball coaching, football coaching, anything like that. Try and do a bit of coaching outside of that as well for a club. And then I play for pool at the moment with India, and like we're trying to push to go up into like, was it national?
I think so. Is it Prem?
Yeah, into like Prem.
Is it Prem?
Yeah. So we're gonna try and push to like go to playoffs and then get into that. So even regardless, I'll probably be with pool next year, and if we can be in Prem, that would be great because I think that would feel like I'm still just playing like uni netball because it'd be a very similar like training schedule and like I guess standard probably. So that would be great. And then I just really want to go travelling. So as soon as I can have the money for that, I'll be away.
Yeah. I haven't asked you this question, I forgot. How have you found, so you're coaching this year.
Yeah.
How have you found that?
I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But it is like, it is tough because like at first I just thought like a lot of them are in my year. Yeah. And like I go to lectures with like 3 girls in the team that I coach. Mm-hmm. So it's quite hard to know how to be stern with people that off the court are your friends. Mm-hmm. And also when they're your age, I know what it's like. You kind of just want to turn around and be like, why are you telling me what to do?
No, yeah.
So I felt like I had to spend the first few weeks proving that like I know what I'm doing. Yeah. And I sort of had to do that with like drills and sessions and show like these are going to make you better. And then they were sort of like, oh, that was actually a really good session. And then I think after we had a few of them, they then were like, okay, we're going to trust you. And it did help that I think we've lost like one league game this year. Like we're top of the table. So I think then they start trusting that you do. Yeah, you do know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And it has been really rewarding as well. Like I've had a couple of the girls who last year had like really low confidence in netball for like one reason or the other. They just didn't like find it a very enjoyable environment. Like a few of them said to me they almost dropped out last year, and then they're the ones this year that are having like amazing seasons, like really enjoying it. So when you sort of get a message or they come over and speak and they're like, oh, thank you so much because like you've actually given me that like, I don't know, like love for netball back, like that's like a really nice feeling. And I didn't expect that either. I just sort of thought, oh, I'll give them a session each week, hopefully like win a few games, that's it. But it quickly like becomes a very like important part of your life.
Yeah. How have you managed to balance it all? Because obviously you're playing with us, which is hard enough.
Yeah.
With bugs, and then coaching them as well, and doing uni and your this.
Yeah.
How have you managed to balance it all?
Well, to be honest, the uni's the part that's been taking the hit this term. Like, I literally had one assignment due in this whole term. Yeah. And then all of the hard stuff's due in next term. Okay. So I think I've been able to get by this year. Like, I've been quite tired because it's quite a lot of early mornings coaching and like training myself, but I haven't had that much work to do. I think if you asked me the same question next term, I would have a very different answer. I'd probably be like ripping my hair out. But no, it's been all right so far.
Yeah, that's good. So that's all the questions I have. So thank you for joining me today, Soph. And make sure to tune in to the next episode.